Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing the my first time tag, and whenever I saw this tag going around, I just saw the title and I was kind of like confused because I was like, my first time, like what are people doing? Like why would you post that on YouTube? But it's basically just a tag of a bunch of questions of stuff that you did for your first time. So I'm just going to go through a list that I found on YouTube. There's a bunch of different questions, but that's just the one that I thought was going to be the most fun to answer for you guys. So the first question is that I see on this list. It says, do you still talk to your first love? Absolutely not. Just no. No, we're not even going to go there. Number 2, what was your first alcoholic drink? And I don't know. Okay, I'm not 21 yet, okay? But whenever I was in high school, I did drink a little bit. I mean, I know there's probably going to be a bunch of people who are like, oh my god, why would you do that? You're not a good role model. But I mean, I was experimenting. It was high school, and my first drink of alcohol was some like dark grape wine, and I thought it was like so cool. I was with Christian and my friend Sarah at the time, and we were like dancing around to NSYNC, and I took like one sip of wine and I thought I was the coolest person ever. So that was my first drink of alcohol. Yeah, pretty embarrassing. What was my first job? My first job, I actually worked at Chick-fil-A, and that I just had like the craziest time there. Like bad things would just always happen to me, so I eventually ended up just quitting. What is your first car? My first car was actually my parents' car. It was a Ford 2003, I think it was a 2003 Ford Explorer. It was like this huge like boat, like literally it was huge, and it cost like $60 to fill up the whole tank, and I drove that around from my senior year up until this April when I got my new car. So that was my first car, and I was very, very grateful for it up until I started making my own money, and I just really wanted something that was a lot more cheaper on gas, so that's why I don't have that anymore. Who was the first person to text you today? Let me see. It was Dylan this morning at 5:20 in the morning. That's who texted me first today. Who was the first person you thought of this morning? Obviously Dylan, because I read my text messages and he was on my mind. Who was your first grade teacher? My first grade teacher was actually a teacher that I had in Montana, because I used to live out there, in case you guys didn't know, and her name was Mrs. Booth, and she was hilarious. Like I just remember she had like this little puppet that she would always like have on her hand whenever she was talking to us. I can't remember what his name was, but I used to always want to like steal the puppet because it was so cute. It was just like a little bald like little puppy or something. I don't know, it was so cute, and she would always like talk with it. Like if she was having a conversation with you, she would be like talking, she'd be like, hi Rachel, and her little puppet would like speak with her. She would be like, hi Rachel. Like it was just so weird. I don't know, I just always remember her because it was just really weird. She was just an odd one. Where did you go on your first ride on an airplane? My first ride on an airplane was whenever I moved from Florida to Montana, because I live in Florida now, but when I was really, really young, I was born in Florida, and then my dad got a job opportunity in Montana, so we moved from Florida to Montana, and that was the first time that I ever got on a plane whenever we moved up there. So it's pretty cool. Who was your best friend? Who was my first best friend, and do you still talk? My first best friend was this girl that I literally knew ever since I was like out of the womb. Like we knew each other like from day one. Her name was Courtney, and we don't talk anymore, but we used to be like glued at the hip. Like even when I lived in Montana, like when I would come down here, we would still, like when I would fly down, I would stay down at her house for like a week. We were just like really, really, really close friends. And then just in middle school stuff happened, and then we went to separate high schools and we didn't talk, and just a bunch of, high school stuff. So we don't really talk, but I don't have any like hatred or anything towards her. We're still like, if I see her, I'll be like, oh hi, like how are you? But I don't talk to her anymore. Where was your first sleepover? Probably at that girl Courtney's house. I would have to say that was probably my first like my first sleepover was at this girl Devin's house in middle school, and I thought it was so cool. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to a sleepover. There was like 20 girls, and it was just really uncomfortable because I was a very shy person in middle school. Like I had a best friend in middle school that was really the only person I would talk to. So like when I was in a group of like a bunch of girls, it was just really uncomfortable, and I like didn't know what to do. I was like socially awkward. So it was just really weird. We did like the normal sleepover things, like whoever went to sleep first got like whipped cream on them, and I was like, oh, it was like just normal. What was the first thing that you did this morning? The first thing I did was wake up and I started filming a vlog whenever I was like fresh in bed, because I'm trying to do more vlogs and stuff, so I decided to film you guys, or let you guys see me when I first wake up. So what was the first concert you ever went to? I'm almost 100% positive that the first concert that I went to was a Kelly Clarkson concert whenever I lived in Montana, because that was like right when American Idol had first like made its huge appearance, and she had just won, and then she came to Montana, and I was like freaking obsessed. And I remember I was so excited. I was in the 5th grade and I gotta like stay home from school and get ready and go. It was really fun. My first piercing was obviously when I got my ears pierced when I was like super little. I got them when I was a baby. First foreign country you've ever gone to? I've never been anywhere but Florida, Montana, Georgia, and Washington, D.C. And those are like the 4 most incredibly boring states, I swear, in the entire world. So no, I've not been to a foreign country, but I would totally want to go before I die. First movie you remember seeing? The first movie that I can remember seeing, like, that I actually had a really fun time watching and like just going to see a movie, was Finding Nemo. I went with my sister Sam and my older sister Allison when we were in Montana, and I just remember cracking up at Dory. Like, I thought she was freaking awesome, and I would just like laugh at everything, and it was just really fun. We all went together, so that was the first movie I can remember seeing like in an actual movie theater that I thought was really cool. When was your first detention? Oh, I love this question. Okay, so I went to a Christian school from middle school till 9th grade, and at that school, if your shirt was not tucked in, or if you weren't wearing socks, or if your skirt was like above your knee, you would get a detention. And I'm a very good kid, so for me getting a detention, I was like petrified and I like cried, but I basically got a detention because my shirt wasn't tucked in. Yep. Who was your first roommate? I was kind of confused on this question when I first read it, because I live with Dylan now, but I did live with this girl Sarah during high school. She got like kicked out of our house and she came and lived with us for a little bit, and we like shared a room and stuff, so I would technically consider her my first roommate, but I don't know, we weren't really like living together. She just like would crash whenever she couldn't go home and stuff. So when was your first kiss? My first kiss, I think I was in 7th grade, and I was dating a guy for like a few months, and I actually ended up breaking up with him, and then in high school we ended up dating for like 3 years, but in middle school we dated for a few months. And I remember it was me, the guy that I was dating, my friend, her boyfriend, my sister, and her boyfriend, so it was like 6 of us, and we went to see Me, You, and Dupree. I don't know if you guys ever have even heard of that movie, but we went to go see that movie, and I was like freaking petrified. I was like, oh my god, I know he's gonna try and like kiss me. I just like have a feeling, and you know how like little boys are, like their friends always like egg them on, like, oh, you need to go kiss her. And I was like so nervous, and like I could see him out of like the corner of my eye during the whole movie. He was like staring, like just waiting for me to look at him so he could just like go in for it. So I like was just like standing like this like the whole movie, and then like once the credits started rolling, I was like, oh, are you ready to go? Like I just kind of like turned to like ask if we were leaving, and he just like grabbed me and like kissed me, and I was just it was really awkward. It was so awkward. But after that I was just like, okay. Like, first date that I went on, let me see, my first date, I wouldn't really consider, okay, because I went out with this guy for 3 years during high school, but we didn't have our own cars, so like our parents would always be with us, so we never really had like an alone like type of date. So my first date when I was actually alone with a guy, he drove, brought me somewhere, took me home, like stuff like that. It was with Dylan, and it was at the end of my senior year, and we went to Cheddar's, and that was like the most awkward thing. Like, I'm just a very awkward person when you first meet me, so that was my first date, but it was really fun. Who was your first love, and do you guys still talk? My first love was the guy that I dated for 3 years, and like I said, we met, like I dated him in middle school, then we broke up, then in high school we started going back out again, and we dated for 3 years, kind of like off and on, like we would break up for like 3 days and get back together. I don't know, I don't really want to say too much about him. We dated for 3 years. He was my first love, and things didn't end up how, you know, I had hoped for. I mean, that's 3 years of my life that I basically wasted on somebody, but yeah, he was my first love, and we had really good times up until the end. He just kind of got into some bad things, so yeah, we aren't together anymore, and I'm so happy for it because I totally thought I was gonna like be with him forever and that we were gonna get married and all this stuff, and I'm so glad that it didn't work out. I was living in like a crazy dream because there's no way, like now that I look back on it, I would never allow myself to be with somebody like that. And like how Dylan treats me and how the other guy treated me, it's like night and day. So I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, that was my first love. And we dated for a long time, like I said, 3 years. I was just turning 16, and then we dated right before I turned 19, we dated when I was 15, and we started dating when I was 15, and then we broke up right before I turned 18, so it was a long time, but yeah, that is the end of my first time video, and I'm gonna have a few girls linked down below that I am really interested to see if they want to do this video. I'm gonna tag you guys down below, and any of you guys can post a video response to this as well, and also leave me comments down below letting me know what your first makeup product you ever bought was. I think that'd be really cool to see what everyone's first makeup product was. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and before I get questions or anything, or if you guys have any requests, I did already film a makeup tutorial on the makeup that I'm wearing, so that will be coming up soon. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.